Hello, Internet. Welcome to Risky Rollers. I am Carl, and I'm joined by a special guest. Well, not so. It's special. Not a special guest for the stream, but a special guest for our little ad hoc things. Mr. Dalton, how are you, sir?
G'day, Carl, and g'day, Internet. So it's good to be here. Yeah, I'm very well. I'm very excited to finally have the jury rig set up that we do, ready to do some hobby on stream and hang out with people, see how it goes.
Yes.
Cool.
So we've been meaning to do this for a little while now, and we've just finally got our asses into gear to actually do it, which is nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just want to see a bit of a guinea pig stream for you guys. Do a little bit of hobbying, stream a couple of our hobby tables, do a little bit of painting, and see what happens. You know, if you like this kind of stuff, chat, make sure that you go and press all the buttons, subscribe, press the bell icon, like the video, do all that kind of fun stuff. Thank you very much to our channel sponsors, which always have, as we have rolling in the top corner there. Hello, Liam. Liam's up first. Can
G'day, Liam.
Let us know how the sound is, brother. So, all right. I think you titled this one. What are you working on?
I've got in front of me here a little squad of Red Scorpions Infernus Marines, which aren't very good on the table, but are a lot of fun to hobby and paint. I've had a little Red Scorpions project going on in the background for a while, just as a passion project, something to paint and enjoy doing, because for some reason I decided I didn't have enough Space Marines lying around.
Well, you can never have too many Space Marines for a start.
I think you definitely can. I think there is definitely a number of Space Marines that is too many, and it's a lot smaller than you think it is.
Don't look back there. Yeah, and getting them all painted is one thing. So yeah. we're on your big cam, so you can show us up nice and close where you're up to.
Nice bit of hopefully it's focusing on that well.
Yep.
I built them all there in the week, and I primed them all earlier today. Army Painter brown spray. It's very, very close to the old Citadel Mornfang brown. Not identical, but pretty close. Which is a spray that I lament they don't make anymore, because that was a phenomenal paint to use.
Brown undercoat.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you've seen my Red Scorpions or not, Carl, but yes, they start brown, and then I don't even use a brush until like step 7. It's all tweezers with a sponge and spray paint.
Bit of sponge stippling.
That's it. Bit of sponge stippling. Really builds up a nice sort of ceramite look to them. Just inherently makes them look really weathered and beaten. Yeah.
How fancy.
Yeah. Liam in chat confirming we do indeed sound like ourselves. So, I mean, it's a shame, but, you know, we'll manage.
Yep. Especially me, like, second time fumbling through that intro because, you know, as we do in a testing a new stream. So we can't have a stream without a bit of shenanigans, can we?
Of course not.
So that's what you're working on.
Yeah. How about you?
If I press this button, and move over here, hang on, let me just do a bit of swivel action. We're still trying to get this sorted out. We have an Incarn that is getting there. We're up to body stage, so we want to do some body highlights. We've got some the armor part and some bone armor that we need to do, and then we got some flesh tones that we need to do there. And then if I get bored, we've got some Howling Banshees, which are very blue on stream for some reason, but this is actually purple.
Yeah.
It's color shifting to something, but much like yours, this is like step. The armor and the torso has had like 3 or 4 airbrushes. You know, going up from the mid-tone purple kind of to more of a pinky purple. Then with some some really light highlights just with a brush at the end. So these are up to like loincloths and hair and weapons and helmet. So the helmet is actually very similar to the bone armor pieces on the avatar, and all my reference pieces aren't right in front of me. So actually, do I have any back there? No, they're over there somewhere. But yeah, those need to be done, and they're very similar paints. So that's what we got.
Yeah.
What are you working on? Oh, Al's in chat. How you going, Al? You working on
Hey,
anything
Al,
tonight?
how you doing? My favorite colorblind painter.
If there's something that you want to talk about that you're working on, chat, let us know. And yeah, we're happy to chat and chinwag and
That's what we're here to do.
lick some brushes. So we can go to this one now, and you can watch what we're both doing. How's that? Look at the tech.
There we go.
Dry brushing. Brady is dry brushing 20 Necron warriors.
Hey, very nice. We've all been there, Brady. We've all been there.
Necron's a great palette cleanser.
Yeah, you can get through so many of them so fast.
Yeah, you could be
So
just
nice.
like, well, I'm just gonna. I think I watched whose video was it that said basically Necrons are really fun to paint because they're naked.
I don't know, but I love that turn of phrase.
I think it's like Eons of Battle or somebody I was watching. They were talking about. Oh no, he was talk about crossovers.
Yeah.
He was on a video with the Miniature Maniac.
Yeah.
And they're doing their Drakari at the moment. And he was talking about he puts a lot less effort into some of his other armies and he's okay with it. Because because they're easy to paint because they're basically naked. You're just painting their skeleton. So, you kind of get sick of Space Marine armor pieces.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the reasons this is a slow burn like army project that I do a handful of Marines at a time rather than let's build an entire army and smash it out in a week because I've been there, done that, don't feel like doing it again.
Oh, Brady. Well, better. It's a break from finishing my 20 rubrics. Yeah, man. Rubrics and gold filament. What are they called? Gold trim.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can keep your gold trim.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very fair, I think.
Kaiju is Al's working on a winged prime.
Ooh, nice. And Blood Bowl Borak. Very nice.
What's a Blood Bowl Borak?
Borak is a star player for Blood Bowl.
For which team?
For a whole bunch of them, but specifically I believe Khorne. Is it Borak the Despoiler Kaiju?
Oh, as in like a mercenary player.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, if you haven't played Blood Bowl before or looked into it, A, you should. It's hilarious. And B, yeah. So you're playing with your football team, and they're all generic profiles and things. And instead of being able to have like in 40k where you just take a named character, if your team is so far behind your opponent's team as far as like team value is concerned, you can basically hire a mercenary player who's cruising around, who's a famous player, imagine if like Tom Brady, who is the only famous NFL player that I know of, was around, and the trying to think of an NFL team, the New York whatever it is they're called, were like, hey, well we're playing, we're so far behind our opponents, the DC State, this game, that we're going to use a bunch of our team's cash to just hire Tom Brady for this game, and that's how that works.
There's a isn't that called a rein? Like in baseball terms?
Possibly. I don't follow American sports. I mean, Al, that's because Norse are basically a Khorne team, right? Basically the same thing.
Wouldn't Norse be dwarves?
No. Dwarfs are their own thing. Norse are from Norska in Warhammer Fantasy. They're like Vikings, basically.
Did Sigma kill them?
Sorry?
Did Sigma kill them?
Sigma was dead. He walked into the desert and died. That's his whole bit. That's how he became the main worship deity of the Empire. We got down in chat. We've got Jess popping in. G'day. Good to see you. And we've got Troy, Vanguard Vets, 8th Company, Venerable Dreadnoughts, original Terminator squads, assault squads.
Venerable Dreadnoughts.
Oh, yeah, which is the only Dreadnought kit you can still buy, I think.
Well, Chicken Dread.
Oh, anyway, Box Dread, Castaferum Dread. I believe it's the only Castaferum pattern Dreadnought you can currently buy. In fact, I think they've probably gotten rid of most of the. They've gotten rid of most of the.
I was going to say it's not legal, is it?
Sorry,
they're not legal, right? You can't actually run them in 40k.
Vendreads, yeah. Grey Knights still use real dreadnoughts.
Real dreadnoughts.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, I'm very sad has been Legends, because I have one sitting around here somewhere, or bits of one. Is the old, check it up here, the main one. The old Chaplain Dreadnought.
Oh, you got a Chappy Dreadnought.
I got a Chappy Dreadnought. I'm going to do this up for Red Scorpions at some point.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've found, and actually I know someone that needs this, so I'm going to get it to them. The old 60mm base. I'm not going to use this. I'm going to pull up a full Redemptor size base and chuck it on that with like a bunch of rocks and stuff so it's the right size. I won't actually be able to run it as a chaplain, but it'll still be a cool piece of tech. Cool piece of kit to have. Yeah. Alright.
Oh, that's better. Can actually see what I'm doing now.
Yeah, and I was saying they have Chaos Dwarfs though, which they do. Tell you what, here's a little interesting bit of linguistic pedantry that I see come up a lot, and I apologize, Al, because you're going to cop a few strays on this one.
Other than that sentence,
linguistic pedantry, yeah. A little bit of linguistic pedantry here. Al's mentioned that they have Chaos Dwarves with a V. Technically, there's no such thing. Dwarves with a V.
Trigger warning.
Dwarves with a V specifically is a Tolkien word that Tolkien came up with to describe his dwarves to help distinguish them from either the classical fantasy idea of dwarfs, such as in like Snow White and fairy tales and things like that, and also to further distinguish them from real life people with a condition of dwarfism. So he added the V. Warhammer Fantasy, and in fact any non-Tolkien fantasy writing, uses the more classically correct dwarfs, DWARFS. I don't know where it's at the moment, but a few years ago when I first looked into this as a point of interest, dwarves wasn't considered a correct English word to be used outside of referring to Tolkien.
Do you feel better now, Al, that you've been educated?
So how about you, Al? That's for you.
Come to Risky Rollers for the paints, the warhams, and the linguistic circus.
That's it. That's what we're here for. Yeah. Curiously enough, though, elves didn't need to be changed like that. In fact, was the reason that Tolkien added the V, because elf became elves naturally in English, but dwarf didn't become dwarves, became dwarfs, which is why the change was made, and it's why it seems so natural. Tolkien wasn't about to go and make a. Tolkien wasn't about to go and make an ad hoc change to the English language. He did his research, and he knew that would the reason that would be such an easy adjustment to make.
Well, you got a thumbs up from Jess, but if it's not in the Tolkien universe, they're known as sparkling white shorties.
It's not from the Tolkien regional literature. Yeah, nice. Actually, speaking of Tolkien, the next one of these, I should have a bunch of Tolkien dwarfs up for painting. I've got a bunch of Billy Connolly on a pig and a bunch of Goat Riders.
Did you say
from Forge World?
Billy Connolly on a pig?
Yep.
How does
from
that
the
work?
worst. So the worst of the 6 Middle Earth films, the third Hobbit movie. Billy Connolly plays Dane Ironfoot, and he rides a pig into battle.
Cool. Does he remember it? He would have been fair down the insanity path by then, wouldn't he?
He's not. I will say this: he's not in the movie for that long. I think, because he was quite sick toward the end. He does ride a pig, yeah. There we go. I can see, Jess getting very excited about that. He does indeed ride a pig. What else have we got? We've got.
Wow,
Troy mentioning
that's
he's got a lot of stuff in his palette.
That's very eclectic sentence. So, 15 Necron warriors and 4 scarabs, and then the Blood Angel's Death Watch jump pack veteran.
I mean, that does seem appropriate, Jess. The less you think about the Hobbit movies, the better. Although I will say, I will defend the first one. I think the first one got a lot of the atmosphere and pacing very, very right.
I'm considering what I was trying to go for is a little bit of like undead sickly green on the skin bits, like on these torso-y bits that aren't like obviously wraithbone.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think that this rotting flesh is like, maybe it's not green enough.
Like it's not going to really sell the idea well enough.
Yeah.
Like glance.
Because I'm like, well, by the time I highlight up the like the fancy where are we? Like the fancy ridges in the wraithbone here to something that looks a little bit more bony. And by the time you highlight the sickly fleshy bit, they're kind of going to look the same, just with a very subtle undertone. And it kind of gets absorbed because this is quite greeny as well in the flame.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to say, is there's not a lot of contrast there between that and all like the energy swirl going on the outside.
So maybe it needs to be like red instead, like a maroni tinge.
That could be cool, like a deep red sort of thing.
Yeah. Kind of like, I don't know if you remember the Bulgrin and the Rough Riders from the old studio army.
Yeah. They had that, like, they were grey and maroon essentially.
Yeah, they had like, there was like pink sickly rather than like green sickly.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Hmm.
That could be interesting. I do think it's always interesting to look at adding little detail to a model like that, because there's so much going on everywhere on the model.
Yeah, we'll try some watered down burgundy, I think.
Yeah, I mean, at worst you pan over it, right? It can give you a good
right.
idea of what the color will do.
We're all learning together, chat. We are, all going to learn together. And you're going to laugh at me while I do this live on the internet.
That's it. Nothing like
all right. Here's a
nothing
question
like
for
making
you.
mistakes live for the entire internet to see.
Forever in memoriam, archived on archive.net. Are you? What kind of a palette person are you? Are you a wet palette, a dry palette, a tile person, a plate person? Like, how do you roll normally?
Well, you can see here I'm using a very generic, just plastic dry palette from GW. I'm a palette person that jumps between whatever palette's most appropriate for what I'm doing. So I have a wet palette off camera just over there, and I'll use that if I'm doing anything that requires a lot of blending or I want a lot of mixing. I want paints to stay usable for a long period of time. I have used a glass palette, and I managed to break it because that's also a thing I'll do, which is why I'm using this instead. But I do quite like a glass palette if I'm using a dry one. One they're just quite nice to work on. Definitely you don't need one. It's not crazy, but I just enjoyed it. And then I did, because I think it's the greatest thing I've ever produced. I did buy, to keep it work where I can do painting there, the floppy silicon servo skull palette that they did, which is, I actually think, pretty bad as a palette because nothing sticks to the the paint doesn't hold itself to the silicon enough to mix properly.
Is that the new one?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really strange to use because the paint sits on it, but it likes to bead and move around. It doesn't like to stick and stay put. So it's weird to thin down on the palette. But it's shaped like a servo skull and it's ridiculous. So I had to have one. Yeah. How about you, Carl? What sort of palette do you prefer?
Yeah, I think I liked your first answer when you talked about like depends on what you're doing. If I'm just smashing out some army ready, and hello in Humania, did I get that right?
In Humania.
In Humania.
G'day,
Luke. Is that Luke?
That's Luke. Yeah.
Hey, Luke. If I'm doing something that has a lot of wet blending, like I'm doing a cloak or a sail, or something like that, where you're doing a lot of wet blending across a large surface area, I like a wet palette there because then you can like palette out your gradient.
Yeah.
But if I'm just like smashing, I've got to do like, what's it called when you do like one bit the same over like a bunch of models?
Batch painting.
Yeah, like if you're doing a whole bunch of batch painting, so like battle ready batch painting, then I like the toy silicon plastic fidget toy.
Yes, yeah.
It
That's basically what the new Jedi palette is.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
Because like you can like chuck some stuff in there, and then like it doesn't matter too much. You don't really like, care too much.
Yeah, that's fair.
Actually, I need some flow medium.
Yeah. How about all of you out in chat there? What do you guys like to use as a palette? Do you have preferences? I imagine Troy with his batch painting of Necrons is just contrast to model all the way.
3 different types of dry brushes and the biggest dry palette you can find.
Yeah.
The biggest piece of wood. Which I respect, by the way. My Necrons.
Yeah.
My Necrons are literally a Zenithal base coat and then some green on the shoulders. And then I call it a day, because sometimes you just want an easy army that's not like, giving you a pain in the butt.
Yeah, definitely. I got clever with my Necrons early on and went, I'm going to paint them yellow and do a bunch of stuff there. Which was cool, which was a cool thing to do with them, but it means they take way longer to paint than they have any right to do so, even with a bunch of shortcuts and things to make that better.
What was your first army that you painted, like complete?
Complete? The first,
mostly complete. It was.
Well, yeah, the first full 2,000 points I ever painted was in fact a Necron army. It was my Necrons. Now, some of you might know I've been in the hobby for 12, 13 years now. The point where I still consider the Mauler Fiend and Forge Fiend and Helldrake and stuff. Those are all still new models in my head.
It's okay. Tower's new in my head.
Yeah. Oh, you've been around longer than I have in it, but those are still the new versions of Chaos. So, first time I had a fully painted 2,000 point army of Necrons, which was my first army from back in 2011 or 12, whenever it was actually right before we shot our first battle report on the channel in 2021, I think it was, or 2020, in between lockdowns and stuff. So it took me a long time to actually finish anything. I painted plenty of things. I had a somewhat painted Death Guard army and a somewhat painted Space Marine army and a somewhat painted this and that and so on. But I definitely had a problem with perfectionism, the idea of I had to paint the model perfectly, and do each bit of it right. And I had to go back and redo every bit that I got wrong, which wasn't great. So I was a terrible painter, and it meant that I took ages to finish anything. So even though the Necron 2,000 points is the one that I consider to be like the first time I finished, it's not the one I consider to be the one that I actually got done, like the one that got me out of that cycle. I played a slow grow narrative campaign a few years ago with some mates. I ran it. I did up like a book and everything for it. We had like a hex map and we're taking tiles. It was great fun. And I played Imperial Guard in that. And the big thing there was we would each like build and paint a new model according to a theme every month, and we'd add to that. And we'd go play games with each other. So shout out to Daniel and Matthew if you guys ever watch this. And that was great fun. And I set myself a rule because I knew that I'd never paint an entire infantry-based guardsman army if I had to paint every model perfectly. So it was a rule that I would always batch paint squads, and that I would never go back to fix a mistake. I would just keep going on to the next layer and the next thing. And and it meant that I very quickly did get through a bunch of them, and some of them looked terrible, but some of them didn't. And when they were on the table, and you had 40 guardsmen in front of you that were all painted, they looked pretty good.
Yeah, you always make the mistake with the first scheme that is always like too hard to do in mass, and you're in that really bad spot between getting everything ready because you want to play and wanting to get it like stick to your scheme and get it done right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, being able to, I think the most important thing with that is being able to live with your own mistakes and stuff. Being able to accept that, yes, this isn't I've made that mistake, this isn't perfect, but I don't have to fix it. I can just leave it.
Yeah, when enough is enough, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't advocate for that extreme of a never go back and never touch it up. I don't advocate for that, but it was a good exercise in forcing myself to leave it alone. And since then, since then I've painted a lot of different armies, often very fast. How about you, Carl? Your first painted army?
So, I did have if we discount the 12-year-old Carl, in 1998.
I don't think we should discount 12-year-old Carl. Like, it doesn't matter if it's well painted.
Yeah, it definitely. But we managed to get our little pocket money bought forces up and painted. But when your heart is in Blood Angels, the paint scheme is pretty kind of speaks for itself, right? You grab the Contrasted just came out when I came back in, so when I started fixing up all the new stuff, it was like, cool, undercoat and Blood Angels red contrast.
Yep.
And then I think the refinement there was then like learning how to take that base, because I hate edge highlighting on Space Marines. And I think if you're going like the heavy metal style, are you trying to copy box art? Then you're almost told that you need to do that. But I think you can like not edge highlight and still highlight, and it still looks fine if if you learn how to how to place your zenithal highlights, how to to highlight sunspots and all that kind of stuff, and and a little bit of brushwork just to bring out some reflective bits, and but I think my armies are never finished. I don't think.
Of course not.
I don't think I ever like. I think I'm still playing catch ups with bits of it, to a certain extent. Just because I kind of stick to expanding the current stuff. Hence the Eldar, because Eldar were my second love, and but haven't really got the hobby love that the Necrons or the Space Marines kind of got, with the exception of my Avatar and some other bits and pieces. You got to make sure the butt crack has plenty of contrast, color contrast.
Oh yeah,
color value. You got to get the right shading in the butt crack.
It's the most important feature in the model.
Now, this looks not fantastic, but I think what it'll do is when I go back in with the rotting flesh on the maroon bits, it'll make it look different because it's got the maroon undertone in it.
Yeah.
But I think what I need is, and I think this is actually one of the best uses for one of my favorite uses for contrast paint is actually like a step down base coat where you you put it in the recesses and you use it as a first step, because then it's a lot easier to get rid of the like splodginess.
Yeah. Especially on models that have big smooth surfaces that you don't want to be putting contrast on to start with.
Yep. I used to use a Ghetto Wedo palette, which was baking paper on a Chuck's cloth in a takeaway container. Yep. I believe we've all watched that video.
Yep.
On the yacht tubs. So I completely agree. It's definitely a great place to start getting used to, especially when you're learning how to thin paints. You need, like a wet palette is the best way to learn how to thin stuff. Because you just don't want it to dry. Like you spend so much time trying to get it to the right, like opacity and like thickness, and then it dries up because you're on a dry palette. So and all your hard work's gone, right? So having that wet palette really helps keep that consistency. The first White Dwarf magazine I bought had a free metal Necron model. Yes, I did buy that White Dwarf also, Al, when the Necron pewter models came out. Yep.
That wasn't Century 101, was it? That was beforehand.
Yep.
Yeah.
My first model was Ark and the Black, which I bought in lockdown and tried to paint without priming him, and now he's sitting primed on my shelf unpainted.
Classy.
Is that because...
Was Ark and the Black... Do they still make that model during lockdown? Because that's an old model.
Ark and the Black. Good question.
Oh, wait, no. He got 8th edition. He got a redo in 8th edition, though, didn't he? With Neferata. He did. He got redone as part of the Vampire Count's redo in 8th edition when they redid the Nagash into the big sculpt.
Ah, right. Got it.
So, yeah. So, Brady, I'm assuming that it's the newer plastic yet, and not the old metal character model for Ark and the Black.
The one on the horse. There you go.
Wouldn't call it a horse, but yes.
The riding one.
Yes.
Is it primed on your shelf because the paint came off because you didn't prime it, or what's stopping you from putting paint on that sucker?
Yeah. Is that going to become a Vampire Count army at some point, Brady? Going to play some fantasy, or is it just hanging out?
A good old hobby project.
That's it.
Yin Khan's looking good, thank you. Yes, we're getting there slowly. I think the first army I did was my knights, but the initial batch I don't think was a great scheme. But it was Tau that's still in primary school Liam did. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Definitely dry brush me things for black iron steel rusted out metal with glow green plugs and white, black, purple shoulders, pads, layered on angles, way better blemishes. Contrast quick, fast, but if you're looking for colors, layers, I'd use black base contrast. Yeah. I mean, I actually go more, so Blood Angels, Evil Skulls, Burning Orange. I have an older pot, so it's not called whatever the new one is called. But yeah, basically just from that red. Occasionally I get fruity and put different Zenithal primes underneath it. Just to give it some, like, if I feel like putting some blue in the shadows or some purple. Sometimes I go back in later and do a like a stylish purple from underneath through an airbrush, just to like give it a bit of color value. But yeah, that's pretty standard. Red to orange. Arkan the Black Mortarch of Sacrament.
Yeah, I have a, I call it fond memory. It was pretty funny. Memory of playing a game against an Arkan, the rest of the army. And they got off a Purple Son of Xerius because my dwarf runesmith didn't spell it in time. That proceeded to entirely eat a unit of Thunders, and then scattered back across down the entire VC lines and broke 3 of their units. So that was a thing.
So I missed that. Broke down the line and killed 3 of their units.
It scattered back down the units. So the Purple Son of Xerius, a classic spell, and it would drop this template and send it down and send it across the field. And yeah, it scattered back down. It killed a bunch of models, forced think panic tests, and they broke and fled off the table.
Convenient.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the vampire counts. The undead have a thing called. The point is, undead stuff doesn't flee; it breaks and they crumble. The vampire counts have a bunch of non-undead or non-crumbling units, like the vampires themselves and so on, that don't particularly want to be killed, so they will actually break and flee. It was pretty funny. Yeah, and a bunch of ghouls, because ghouls aren't undead either.
I think while I wait for that maroon to dry, I'm going to go back in with some skeleton horde, just to darken up some of the bits that look a bit patchy. And then it gives it a little bit more, color contrast to the color value to then like build up with white and highlights.
Nice.
Like you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but like this bit here, just above the kneecap, where it's splotchy between where I was trying to do the undead skin and the bony armor bit. So we'll go back over that bit. That's kind of exposed-y. The if you're doing 2 colors in the same place, it's really important to have some shadow definition between the 2 colors, so that it's easy for the eye to distinguish between the 2, and they just don't look like mushed together.
Yeah. Yeah, you need something to separate them and allow your eye to differentiate them quickly.
And I also like the cheating with the contrast, doing these type of steps, because like I am not the cleanest, in the universe, or have the tightest brush control. So using when you're not doing like highlights and stuff and you're just trying to clean up bits, I like using the contrast for this bit, because like if you kind of wet blend, they're kind of like wet blend by accident, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like even if you're not as clean, like I've got these bits here that are kind of still wet from the maroon. If I get a little bit of brown in there, then it's like it's fine. You're not going to get like this weird blotchy bit that runs into where I've put the red.
Yeah. 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 Contrast paints have been such an incredible tool to use, and all the different ranges of paints that do the same thing. And yeah, I think I've probably used them more as like little bits of technical pieces to do other things than to actually just contrast paint armies.
It's very Spider-Man. With great power comes great responsibility. You got to use it like... I don't think it like... When they came out, they were very, you know, like...
you can paint an entire Space Marine in two colors.
It's your one-stop solution for all of your things. And you're like, yeah, nah. You still need... Like, there's no... There are some shortcuts, but you can't just like... They're not a... It's not a one size, one bullet fits all type, arrangement.
Weirdly, I don't think Space Marines work very well with contrast paint. I think there are too many flat surfaces. It's way too easy to have it become patchy or sort of splotchy.
Yeah, I think you can definitely mitigate that.
You definitely can. Yeah, there's things you can do about it.
Yeah, like airbrush is a good way to mitigate that.
100%. But an airbrush is a good way to get past a lot of things to do with it. If you're a brand new player and you're like, oh my god, contrast paints, I can paint my Space Marine in 10 minutes. I think you're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, I've also noticed a bit that I've missed in the middle of his hair, which I'll have to go back and do.
Oh, nice. It's always fun seeing that several coats of like several colors later. Yeah. I'm on the kind of the fun bit of doing the armor here, which is it's the brown's the base coat, the primer, and then the grey gets sponged on. Yeah, the Dungeon Stone Grey from Two Thin Coats, which is Mechanica Standard Grey equivalent. And then I go straight to Carcharodon Grey, which is your Dawnstone equivalent, I think. Although it's much better consistent to the Dawnstone to paint. And that gets sponged on just along all the edges and things. It's like, it's not even dry brushing, it's sort of just like sponge highlighting. It gives these patchy, scratchy highlights on all the edges. Picks out all the detail, and it's very fast. It adds texture, it adds depth.
Oh, so you might like this.
Yeah.
Let me grab a couple. Let me make sure I close my contrast pots so I don't knock them off the bloody table, because I got all this shit in front of me. Have you seen these yet?
What are we looking at here?
So this is a makeup sponge. That's like it's egg shaped.
Yep, I'm familiar.
And so you can do a very similar thing to what you're doing there by like applying it with it's a little bit finer, but like applying it with the tip.
Oh yeah.
These are supposed to be quite good. I saw some people on the internets using this, so thought I'd give it a fang.
Yeah, I've definitely seen them, and I've seen people use them for stuff. I haven't tried one. I have an absolutely obscene amount of the old G-Dub packing foam that you get in the old G-Dub cases.
Oh yeah.
I have an absolutely obscene amount of that lying around. And I've just been tearing bits and pieces out of spare stuff I've got for that, which has been working pretty well. Sort of got the right texture to it, but I'll have to give the old makeup sponge a try.
All right, let that dry for a bit. I need a bigger. Is this a bigger one? Okay.
Speaking of makeup sponges, I need some more makeup brushes to use as dry brushes.
Yeah, I was using makeup brushes. I got a set of slightly more expensive, like proper dry brushes, and they're really good.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing if you're doing a big batch, all right, or a tank or something, or terrain, then those makeup brushes, the big ones you can get, are really good.
Oh, absolutely.
But having a well controlled, like short dry brush does make life easier a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, look, if you're trying to do some like detail work or something like that, you need something that's nice, that's going to do that well. When you're trying to dry brush 30 dwarfs the night before you travel overseas, you don't care how good or how bad the brush is. You just need 3 of them. Because you are going to ruin them. No matter what.
Actually going to get a paint handle out for this because... Alright. So these guys need the base coat of the... let's do this so that you can see. So they need the helmet done on here. So this helmet bit goes in a wraithbone color. So I'm going to put down a foundation of wraithbone. Just adjust this a little bit. Okay. Liam, if you're still there, how many have you finished putting your box together yet?
Yeah.
Is that what you did today? The box of EC? How about I do this in a spot where people can see?
That's probably handy, yeah. Liam down in chat saying that he set up last night and basically built the whole box then. That's very nice. So surely you almost finished painting them then today. Gotta get right onto it.
I mean, you have to beat Lawrence, don't you?
I mean, do you reckon Lawrence is doing any painting on them?
Well, I know Lawrence is not doing any painting on them.
Exactly. I think you're painting them, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop Liam from making him jealous.
Well, exactly. Just finished the last 5 infractors, and I'm not getting the actual pink done. Alex in chat there pointing out that Lawrence has been trying to outsource the painting for EC for months.
Yeah, I offered him a trade that he couldn't refuse.
Yeah.
And we bartered. So that's why the Space Marines are at my house.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm like, all of the Space Marines. He's like, yeah, okay. Because nobody else wanted to paint them.
Yeah.
We were talking bases last night, actually.
Oh, and there you see.
Yeah, because he wants box art, which is fine, which takes
Oh, okay.
a lot of the choices out, right? Which is
Yeah.
fine. Um, but I think the box art bases are pretty boring because they're just like brown. So,
Yeah.
if you've got black armor with like purple and pink, like hot pink pieces in the armor, what do you think a good contrast base theme would be?
So pink in the armor, hot pink, black, purple.
Yeah, silver trim.
Silver trim. I'm thinking like green or red or something. Like by red, I mean like a dark red, like glow sort of thing.
Like lava
But
base.
some like a very aggressive lava base.
I was actually
Not a subtle cracked one, but like an aggressive one.
I actually suggested snow.
Yeah. Well, I could see like the snow and the white and stuff being like grey and white being a nice, just cool contrast to it. It's kind of weird because EC are sort of uh, one of the I think hardest armies to paint well per se, or paint like, quote unquote accurately to where they're in the law. Because by the end of the heresy, they're supposed to be like pretty mismatched, pretty insane. They've got like different colors of armor everywhere. They've all been doing their own paint things that are covered in 17 shades of vibrant colors that clash. And generally, an Emperor's Children army painted law-wise should look terrible.
Geez, pressure much?
Sorry?
Pressure much?
But it makes painting them kind of interesting because a lot of armies you can default to, well, what do they look like in law, right?
Yeah.
Whereas EC, you almost don't want them to look like they should in law because then they'll just look bad.
Yeah, I see what you're saying now.
Like every model will be a kaleidoscope of colors and things, which is how they're always described. Which is actually a terrible thing to try and paint and put on a table because you'll hate the look of it.
You'll look like Harlequins.
No, but like Harlequins are like patterned and stuff. EC are like they've put as much possible color onto their armor as they can in as many places as they can, with little regard to how it's distributed. It's all about the overload of sensation. Yeah. Got SBL jumping into chat there. How you doing?
Lawrence is doing bases grey and blue, and I'm happy with that contrast.
What? Doing bases grey and blue.
What is it contrasting with?
Oh, I imagine the contrast to the pink on the miniatures and the.
Yeah, because like the miniatures are doing so much. You kind of just want neutral tones.
Yeah,
is what my thought was.
That's very fair. Yeah.
SBL equals peaky, mate.
Yeah.
You're in the younger generation, Dalton. What does peaky mate mean? Like peaky blinder or like like.
No, I believe it's peaky. Is a wrong mate of mine.
He's your mate, and his name is Peaky.
Yeah.
I got it. I see. Yeah.
Yeah. It has been. It has been. We've been moving in different circles for a while, I think. Just kind of what happens to life, unfortunately, sometimes.
Well, thanks for coming and watching.
But yeah, thanks for jumping in.
Coming and hanging out and having a chat with us while we bugger eyes around with some models on the internet.
That's it.
So here's one for you. Let's see if I can do this with without you. So all right. So you see these two, right?
Yeah.
Which one is the plastic, and which one is the pewter?
The narrow one's got to be a pewter. It's too in line. It's too in the same plane. The plastic one has the tilted wrists, and the swords go in different directions. Right one? The left one has to be pewter.
This one's the pewter. You're wrong. You're incorrect. This is.
I'm incorrect. Really?
This is the pewter one. Yep.
Ah, there you go. Getting us the old wrist turn.
Yeah, the sculpts for the Howling Banshees are pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. And yeah, Peaky very accurately pointed out the one you can bend the hand on.
You can bend it, but it's less likely to break.
That's true. I haven't played Armada in a hot minute, which is a shame. I've still got all my stuff for it. Great game.
First edition Armada?
Has there been more than one edition?
Or am I thinking of X-Wing?
You're thinking of X-Wing. X-Wing's had 2 to 3 editions and kind of died. Armada, I'm fairly sure, just had the 1 edition. It had a few rules updates and things, but it never had like a relaunch and so on.
Wasn't the thing with X-Wing that like the first edition was like really good, and then they brought out the second edition, and everybody hated it, and then kept playing the first edition. So so Fantasy Flight was just like, nah, we're just going to cancel it because you guys won't play the new one.
I mean, it's missing a few points, but generally speaking, yes. Those are the main thrusts of it.
Because I hear the first edition rules were pretty tight.
They were really good. I was never big into X-Wing. It was like Armada was always the scale that appealed to me more, like capital ships and so on. But it did have a very tight rule set. It was really well done.
Second edition was better as comp rule set. First was better as a theme, but everybody was sweaty.
Yeah. Much like Horus Heresy or Middle Earth for GW. There we go. Yeah.
When you have an old metal edition librarian from 9903 with the multi-combo plasma bolter and staff, 100 a pop today.
100 a pop. Yeah, they a bunch of the old models. People are after them, paying big bucks. Pretty wild, some of them.
Just like collectors, or
it'd have to be collectors, yeah. Like there's no other reason you'd be spending that sort of money on the old stuff. But yeah, a bunch of those models are really fun to go back and paint these days. You can really feel the hand sculptedness of them. Like there were specific decisions made for specific reasons that make them work.
Well, also nobody back in the day could paint, right? Like high
Oh
quality
well, yeah,
painting is like a
yeah.
very more recent thing.
Well, I don't think it's that no one could. It was that the distribution of people being able to see it is a more recent thing.
True.
I'm sure there was some absolutely and the technology around it and so on. I'm sure there are some absolutely phenomenal miniature painters back in the 80s that we've just never seen the work of.
I mean, a lot of dip method back in the...
That is classic historical wargame, historical style dip method.
Rogue Trader. So by first Space Marine, you mean Rogue Trader? The original from 250 to 500 a single mini.
Oof. Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, well, SBL makes a good point. A lot less people in the hobby back then. Yeah, well, that also was
yes,
correct.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure on the secondhand sites I've seen Rogue Trader like models that are, not hundreds of dollars. Maybe they're just not the sought after ones.
There's probably specific ones. Maybe the new and blister stuff as well. I know that does affect value a lot for a lot of the older ones. Yeah. Well, it is starting to get on a bit. It's getting a bit late on the old Friday evening. We might look at wrapping up fairly soon. But before we do, let's have a standoff in chat. How have people made some progress tonight? Where are we at with all the different things we're painting? End up getting back to anything past that cat, Al? It's a good model even today, but that's a rare find if you're happy to pay for it. Yeah, that's fair. Scarcity is definitely a big thing for a lot of the old models. It's just hard to get a hold of them sometimes. I know the Forge World Tiberius the Red Wake, which is now out of print, was going for several hundred a piece recently.
Yeah, a lot of those like the third party sculpts are starting to get up there. If you're not like there's not a lot of collecting value for you, then they're kind of starting to get up there in terms of quality.
Yeah, for sure. We've got Heresy for Heretics jumping in there. A whole 0.2% done on a Golden Demon entry. Very nice.
Ooh, a gold. Which
model are you working on?
Yeah, what model? Well, you don't have to tell us for your Golden Demon entry, but are you which one are you going to? Son is interested in World Eaters. I gave away my Khan the Betrayer. Oh, book to read. Half the EC box is pink. Now he's interested. SBL Son is now interested in painting a couple of things. That's sick. It's nice.
Sweet, yeah.
Parasite is ready for the washers.
Oh, very nice.
Says Al, and I want to add more, and I'll see if I want to add more or just base and finish it.
Tell you what, that is a movie that takes a turn.
Parasite and Mortrex.
Parasite, Extinction. The Korean film for a couple of years back.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen it. I'll have to take your word for it.
It's well, look, if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth watching. It is an experience. It's very, very good, but it's a thing.
Heresy of Hectic is going to Adepticon. Flies out on Tuesday.
That'll be fun. That'll be cool.
So I hope that 0.2% is the Last
The last
0.2%.
Yeah.
How much of it is done? Do you have are you in your last couple of percentile? And are you going your classic synthwave vibe entry, or are you going traditional? They're in the Walls. That's a great movie. Oh, see SPL and Al are in your camp.
Oh yeah, they've seen it. They know what's going on.
Yeah, they know what's going on.
Yeah. And look, tell me if I'm wrong. Like it was a movie that you spent the entire experience of watching it was harrowing. I think I was thoroughly uncomfortable the entire film. And then it keeps ratcheting up, and then you're like, oh, this is awful. This is terrible to watch. And then it takes a turn that just comes very much out of nowhere. Incredible film. It's an incredible film that you should definitely experience once.
Heresy says the front is finished.
Yep.
Fugan in an 80s Miami hotline scheme. I color me impressed. I'm looking. Hopefully, I hope you're putting a short or a video out for that one, man, because that sounds spicy. And if Fugan loves a bit of spice, so that'd be cool to see, man. Cool. Well, while Dalton, you're wrapping up the little bits about what you're doing, probably worth starting on some wrap ups. Thank you everybody for joining us, and make sure that if you liked our little experiment tonight, pop a comment on the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Make sure that you've got
all the
YouTube things. Set the notifications on all, so that when we do this last minute, you see the notification.
Yeah.
And your support and your chatting tonight. Like you guys have been awesome in chat tonight.
Yeah,
it's
been absolutely lovely way to spend the evening painting some red scorpions and doing some stuff there.
Which has been super
I hope
fun.
you guys have enjoyed having us on and hanging out.
Thank you to our channel sponsors that have been rolling around on the screen tonight. General Games, Dice Arcade, Miniature Scenery, Edgemon, Baron of Dice, and Proxywars. We've got a few events coming up that we like to spruik when we get to the end of a video. So we've got not this weekend, before we get
into the events, let's jump on with what we're doing tomorrow.
Wow!
So
go for it.
Tomorrow, the 22nd of March sees the return of our club day. For those of you who aren't aware, Risky Rollers and all of this started originally as Bayside Tabletop, which was just a little club of 3 or 4 of us getting together to play some Warhammer. And it's one of the most important bits of what we do. Is the community. It's all you guys, and it's bringing people together to play games and hang out. And it's been through the ringer over the years as we've changed and adapted what we're doing. But we are focused on it as one of our priorities this year. One of the main things that we're doing. So we are increasing it every fortnight, every other Saturday, starting tomorrow. Every other Saturday. We've made it cheaper, we've made it more accessible, more regular, and we're also going to be running a barbecue and a canteen basically while we're there as well. So you can have some food, we can hang out, have a drink, have some food. You can play a bunch of games. You can organize matchups beforehand and come along and play them. You can rock up with an army and a dream. One of the things that we will be doing is making sure there's always games to be played. You don't have to play 40k, you can play whatever you like, although that might require a bit more organization, but you are welcome to play anything and everything. and we'd love to have you guys along for it.
Yeah. Check out, if you're not a part of Discord, go and check out our Discord. There's dedicated
links in the description
channels
down below.
The dedicated channels in Discord for organising opponents and matchups, no matter what system that you want to play, and
Absolutely.
and shout outs. The other place is the Risky Rollers Facebook page, Risky Roller Events.
Risky Rollers Events is the Facebook group where we put all of the information about all of our events, streams, coverage, etc. All of the club day stuff goes through there. Absolutely. If you're not in the Discord, or if you just see Facebook more often, or if you're in both and you just want to be in the loop, make sure to follow Risky Rollers Events. Also linked down in the description below.
SBL asks if you can just rock up.
You absolutely can. Please do. Rock up, have some beers, have some snags, bring some models, play some games. Absolutely. One of the things that we'll do is we'll always make sure that we have armies with us. So if just one person is left without an opponent, without a game, that's what we're there for. We've got you covered. We'll play some games. It'll be great.
Yeah. If you just want to come in and or if you just want to rock up and have a chat,
Absolutely.
We're not going to charge you cover charge for just rocking up and having a chat. So yeah, come down and say hi.
Yeah. That's at the First West Waverley Scout Hall, and it's every other Saturday. The First West Waverley Scout Hall, they're just 40 Fairway Avenue in Mount Waverley. And yeah, it's every second Saturday. In fact, I don't think there are any breaks to that schedule, I think, until maybe November, based on when I looked at in our calendar. So every second Saturday. It's not like last year where it could be cancelled for an event, or if we're not there or something like that. It's every second Saturday. We'll be there. It'll be happening.
Yeah, and
put in your calendar. Clear fortnightly Saturdays.
If you were hanging out with us last night, you would have heard all about the other events that you can buy tickets now for at riskrollers.com.au. There's also a bit of merch up there if you like a bit of cheeky merch.
Since last night as well, we've had another sign up. I think we've got 16 teams signed up for squad games next Saturday, which is our one-day teams RTT.
Yep. And then the first GT after that is calling the banners, and I believe so that's end of April.
That's end of May.
Sorry, end of May. And then you've got when's the first Blood Bowl event?
First Blood Bowl is the start of April. So the next event is Squad Games next week. The week after that is our first Blood Bowl tournament of the year on Saturday, the 5th of April. The Risky Rollers Autumn Cup, which is also happening alongside our club day at the Scout Hall. That one's got like 18 to 20 sign-ups so far. That's going off. It's going to be awesome. I'm very excited for that.
Last night, it looks like you're going to have your hands full.
Yeah, it's going to be sick. We run seasonal. If anyone doesn't know that we also do events other than 40k, we run a seasonal Blood Bowl tournament. It's not especially linked together. They're just flavor-wise they are. There's the Autumn Cup, the Winter Cup, the Spring Cup, and they all use seasonal weather tables, and that's kind of fun. And then there is the Summer Cup, which always happens at the Risky Rollers Annual, which is our yearly charity event at the end of the year. So those are always great fun. If you've never tried Blood Bowl, please do. It is so much fun. Even if you've never looked into Warhammer fans or anything like that, give it a go. It's great. And then May, on the 24th and 25th of May, is the weekend of Calling the Banners, our first singles GT for the year.
Yep. That is at Manningham?
That is at the Manningham Hotel and Club, which is, I will go out there, and I keep saying it, and I believe it is the best venue per game, or best venue in Melbourne that you can go to and play a tournament at. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. Do come along to that one. It's going to be awesome. We had 40 players last year, I believe. I'd love to see that hit 50 or 60. We've got space for it. Anyone that went to the Victorian Team Championship or the Risky Rolls Open last year would have seen the venue. It is luxurious. We've got the whole ballroom for it. It's fantastic, yeah.
Cool. Well, if we don't see you Saturday, hopefully we'll see you at Squad Games the week after. And thank you, Dalton, for hanging out with me tonight and doing some painting.
It's been a pleasure, Carl.
Thank you, chat.
And chat. A pleasure.
Thank you, chat, for hanging out with us tonight. We'll see you next time, and for the next whenever we're on next.
Absolutely. We'll catch you then.
All right. Bye.